audacious crime on Syracuse's east side sends investigators spiraling for answers.
Oh, get out here. Bosses is Shirley. It was a very brutal, grisly crime scene.
The little kid just ran to me. He said his friend was dead.
It's a crime of anger, someone who is very upset with that person.
It definitely devastated me because now in my head it's like, why?
Before long, detectives are hot on the trail of a heartless killer.
There had been history of physical and psychological abuse.
He had both motive and proclivity to commit this crime, but he was nowhere to be found.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
But her loved ones won't stop fighting until they see justice served.
He took a life that didn't belong to him, and he thought he was going to get away with it. He has no remorse. He does not care.
This is a selfish and evil crime.
Any red flags of abuse or a bad relationship, just run. Just get out.
September 15th, 2021. Summer is coming to an end in Syracuse, a city regarded as the economic and educational hub of upstate New York.
It's known as the Central City in upstate New York. Approximately 150,000 people are most well known for Syracuse University. But the city itself has been one of the more violent places in upstate New York. Because of that, we have an entire unit that investigates homicides in the city.
And around 3:30 a.m., local investigators are called into action.
There's been a shooting in an apartment complex in East Syracuse.
521, it's going to be a confirmed shooting.
When police make their way inside the apartment, they realize they're dealing with multiple victims.
Oh, get out, get out. Clear, two down. That's 521, we're going to need medical handheld.
They locate two victims, one male and one female. They were both on the kitchen floor.
Both victims are unconscious and lying in pools of blood.
There was large amounts of blood, and it was a very brutal, grisly crime scene.
There's casings right there. No gun. Right here, right here. There's casings on the ground. There's casings right there.
Based on the amount of blood and shell casings, it's obvious to officers that both victims have been shot multiple times.
Even seasoned officers are taken aback by the brutality of this crime.
Bosses is Shirley.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is not what I was expecting when I said come to this call.
The victims are identified as 29-year-old Shabria Gainey and 33-year-old Julian Mansaw.
Julian was shot 10 times, while Shabria suffered 5 gunshot wounds.
To officers, this immediately reads overkill.
Regardless, paramedics must conduct their due diligence, checking for any possible signs of life.
Okay, let's do pulse.
Sadly, there's nothing the paramedics can do for Julian.
They were too late to support and help him. Julian is already dead.
But to everyone's surprise, there is hope for Shabria.
You say you got a pulse on her? Yeah.
She has been shot in her arm, her back, and her chest, a total of 5 times. But as EMTs check for a pulse, they notice that she's still alive.
However, if there's going to be a chance of saving Shabria's life, paramedics are in a race against time.
Let's bring the girl out this way, Brett. You're gonna take her out in the hallway.
They waste no time loading Shabria into the ambulance.
As she's raced to the hospital, paramedics do everything they can to save her life.
The big question right now is, will it be enough?
For 29-year-old single mother Shabria Gainey, nothing was more important than family.
She's very outspoken. She's also very overprotective. She don't play about her family. She was outgoing, friendly, very family oriented. She hung out a lot with her sisters. We was very close.
We had a great relationship. We laughed, we danced, we sang, we cracked jokes about people in the family and stuff like that.
She's always laughing. She's always smiling. She called herself Looney Tunes for a reason, because she is goofy. Always making people laugh, kind of like, I would say like life of the party kind of thing. We always had a great time.
Shabria dreamt of letting her outgoing personality shine for the world to see.
She actually wanted to be a singer or a dancer. She loved to dance and sing, and she was very good at it. But she had 2 boys that she had to focus on. It was hard for her, but she loved being a mom, and she showed her kids lots of love.
Her worry was more making sure that she had a legacy for her boys. She wanted to make sure she could make any type of positive life she can with the boys. She was a good mom. She loved those boys, and those were her life.
Like many other young women, Shabria also longed for a life partner. But finding the right man proved to be a challenge.
In 2021, she just got out of a rocky 3-year relationship.
It was mostly drama or them arguing about something. She said, oh, this is not working. I'm going to move on.
And Shabria didn't waste any time jumping back into the dating pool.
She did have a few boyfriends. Some of them was very nice, but she didn't look at them like, oh, this is my life right here. She just kind of moved on.
However, when Shabria started spending more time with a childhood friend, 33-year-old Julian Mansaw, it seemed as though their platonic relationship could become something more.
They were friends since middle school. They've always been really close. He's been around forever, always there for her. She can always depend on Julian.
I think her and Julian always had a little romance going on, but they never pursued it because they were in relationships. And they didn't want to mess up their friendship by a relationship.
But after years spent as just friends, the stars had finally aligned.
Julian was newly divorced and had 2 young kids. So he and Shabria really bonded over their love for their children.
It was nice to see her happy and smiling. He was good to her. He kept a smile on her face.
But now Shabria and Julian have been gunned down inside her apartment.
Bring the girl out this way, Brett. You're going to take her out in the hallway.
Julian didn't make it, but Shabria still had a pulse, so she was rushed to the hospital.
Meanwhile, officers outside are speaking with the neighbor who made the 911 call, and he's accompanied by a young boy.
The little kid just ran to me.
Yeah. What he said?
He said his student was dead.
It seems Shabria's 6-year-old son was the one who found her and Julian.
Did he also witness what happened?
It is difficult to see the small child trying to process those very, very difficult traumas.
After ending a tumultuous 3-year relationship, single mother Shabria Gainey had recently gotten another chance at love with an old friend named Julian Mansaw.
He was very nice and good to Shabria.
Julian was the gentlest person I knew. They were always friends. He's been around forever.
But on September 15th, 2021, Julian is dead, and Shabria's life is in jeopardy after her young son found them shot inside Shabria's East Syracuse apartment.
The little kid just ran to me.
Yeah. What he said?
He said his student was dead.
Shabria's neighbor tells detectives that around 3 a.m., he just stepped outside when Shabria's little boy ran up to him.
I was so sorry.
You were sitting outside. We just basically found you first.
Okay, he was crying.
The caller stated that he did not step foot inside, but instead called 911 and waited with the young boy.
The officers decide to take Shabria's young son aside to see if there's anything else he can tell them about what he witnessed.
Why don't you phone me, little man?
You want to have a seat in here for me, buddy?
That was a very difficult interview for him to get through, especially. He is 6 years old. It is difficult to see that in a small child, trying to process those, very, very difficult traumas.
He said he heard shots, and he said he stayed in his room because he was scared. And when shots stopped, he came out, and he said they was all in a lot of blood. And so he ran out and tried to get help.
Fortunately, Shabria's other son was spared the nightmare his little brother endured.
That night, the father of the oldest one took him, and she had the little one.
As police continue questioning Shabria's young son, they realize he won't be able to give them much more information.
Who else was in the apartment besides your mommy? Have you seen that man who was in there before? No.
He doesn't know his date of birth. He just knows his face.
Does he know his first and last name?
Just his first name.
He does know that he's got family living nearby, but he doesn't know where they are or how to reach them.
He says he's got a grandma, but he doesn't know where, doesn't know number.
However, as the sun begins to rise over Syracuse, the rest of Shabria's family receives word that something terrible has happened.
My uncle's girlfriend called me and told me that she had been listening to the police scanner, and it said Gainey on the east side of Syracuse.
I woke up to 5 missed phone calls and a message saying that Shabria could be in trouble and that we needed to head up to her apartment as soon as possible.
I got the call. It said, get to Shabria's house ASAP. Something happened.
Shabria's family began to show up on the scene and demand answers from police.
My Aunt Melissa was out there. We all were out there. Shabria's kid was in the car with this CPS worker.
We got a call that our family member is in trouble. We need to know what's going on. At least something.
But with an open investigation in process, getting any answers from the officers is easier said than done.
Ma'am, I have nothing for you.
I seen a lot of police and it was taped off. We didn't know who was hurt in the house or how bad it was or anything, and they weren't really telling us much. So it was terrible. We were very much panicked.
I just got the call from the neighbor. That's the reason why I knew.
It's an ongoing investigation. I can't say anything.
Really?
Really.
It's very common in homicides, especially, to have family members have very big reactions. So I don't begrudge anybody that has a big reaction to that. You want to be as helpful as you can, but it's difficult to toe that line between telling the family everything and protecting the integrity of the case.
Obviously, they got a crime scene to focus on, but we're trying to figure out where my sister is.
They took a long time to actually tell us anything. We stood outside for an hour waiting to hear something.
Finally, there's some news.
And they said 2 people was hurt and Shabria was at the hospital.
Shabria's family rushes to her side, but upon arriving at the hospital, they learn it's too late.
Despite doctors' best efforts, they were not able to bring Shabria back from the brink.
My sister is dead.
In Syracuse, New York, 29-year-old shooting victim Shabria Gainey has just passed away at the hospital from her injuries.
My sister is dead. She didn't make it. I'm not really one to be emotional, whatever, when it comes to certain things, but that broke me. Yeah, that broke me.
She was still fighting, like the fighter she was. I'm shocked that she passed. She was a big fighter.
As Shabria's family tries to come to terms with the tragic news, investigators continue searching the crime scene for clues as to who did this.
There's an open window, and investigators surmise that's how the killer was able to enter the apartment.
Inside the house were multiple .40 caliber casings.
The police recovered at least a dozen spent casings from the kitchen floor and underneath the fridge.
There are also multiple projectiles embedded into a nearby couch.
I think any police officer is going to look at that scene and see that it's pretty clear that it's a crime of anger, someone who is very upset with that person.
In their search for answers, the investigators circle back around to Shabria's devastated family.
Learning that terrible piece of news, it's a very difficult thing to process. It's a very difficult thing to understand that their family member's no longer here and they're not coming back.
How is her little boy doing?
He's okay. We kind of explained it to him too, that she's still with you. She's in heaven now. She's always gonna be with you. And he did very good. I think for a 6-year-old, better than I did.
Detectives confirmed to the family that there was a second victim, Julian Mansaw.
It definitely devastated me because now in my head it's like, why? Because Julian was the gentlest person I knew.
Do you have any idea who may have done this?
The family has an immediate answer.
At this point, when I realized it was Julian, we knew what happened, we knew who did it. There was no doubt at all.
It had to be Shabria's ex, Bruce.
The family explains that Shabria had broken up with 39-year-old Bruce Miles about a month ago in early August.
Let's be real, I never liked him. I just never seen anything positive with him.
The family states that Bruce is violent, he's abusive, she's been trying to separate from him, but he's refusing to let her go.
There had been, a history between Bruce and Shabria of physical and psychological abuse.
There was just something not right about him. He would threaten her or tell her he's gonna do this or do that, but she wasn't afraid.
I'm tired of you. I'm leaving you. I am done.
She told me she was leaving him. She made her decision and she went and followed through with it.
According to the family, though, Bruce refused to leave quietly.
Unfortunately, Bruce did not take that very well, and he became enraged and hit her.
Bruce, during that time, according to what Shabria said, had choked her, punched her, and kicked her, and thrown her down. Actually, she finally called the police. She wanted him arrested.
I'm gonna call cops.
Go for it.
But when police finally arrived, Bruce was gone.
They were unable to apprehend him.
He still had an outstanding warrant at the time Shabria was killed.
Based on the recent breakup and the history of abuse, they feel he had both motive and proclivity to commit this crime.
He's the only one who could have done it.
Still, without any hard evidence linking Bruce to the murders, detectives know they need to conduct a full investigation before jumping to conclusions.
We knew it was Bruce that did it. We told the police it was Bruce, but they said, oh, we can't just go and arrest Bruce without knowing that it's Bruce.
We're going to be investigating this further, okay?
It's a very recurring theme in homicide investigations that we targeted one individual and zeroed in on him, and we put blinders on and didn't look at anybody else.
We'll be in touch.
We do everything we can to be as objective as possible and focus on the actual evidence, as opposed to, having a theory and then making our pieces fit after that.
Back at the station, detectives begin ruling out any other possible suspects.
We also looked into potential persons of interest in Julian's life, and we didn't see anything in Julian's life that would indicate to us that Julian had any enemies.
For any sign of Bruce's white sedan, detectives comb through video footage collected from surveillance cameras near the crime scene.
There was a lot of video in this case from cameras that are set up throughout certain areas of the city that SPD owns and operates, from residential cameras and business cameras.
A large part of what we do is we expand our investigation out and we track persons of interest or vehicles coming to or going from the scene before and after the crime.
When detectives start scouring through the footage, it doesn't take them long to find something.
Around 2:45 in the morning, we see a car leave from the area of Shabria's apartment. The vehicle was a white sedan.
It's the same type of car that Bruce Miles drives.
Syracuse detectives investigating the double homicide of 29-year-old Shabria Gainey and 33-year-old Julian Mansaw believe Shabria's ex, Bruce Miles, is behind the sordid crime. And they've just located surveillance footage that bolsters their theory.
Around 2:45 in the morning, we see a car leave from the area of Shabria's apartment. The vehicle was a white sedan.
It's the same type of car that Bruce Miles drives.
Using the footage obtained from other cameras across the city, detectives begin tracking the white car and recreate the path it took after leaving Shabria's apartment.
About half a mile from the crime scene, the car stopped at a local convenience store, and the driver exited the vehicle and walked inside.
The video wasn't the greatest. It was nighttime, so it's kind of hard. You can't really make out a face.
After leaving the convenience store, the driver heads south, eventually pulling over along the banks of Onondaga Creek, a shallow waterway running through the city.
Detectives now believe the murder weapon was disposed of in that creek.
Next, detectives are able to track the path from Onondaga Creek to the final destination,
which happens to be Bruce Miles' residence in South Syracuse.
The footage prompts detectives to leap into action, hoping the current hasn't carried away whatever Bruce threw into the water.
We responded down there, and it was thankfully a low tide at the time.
At first, there's not much to see.
There were a couple plastic bags from what I remember.
But further investigation reveals a treasure trove of evidence.
Sitting on top of the handle of that bag was a live .40 caliber round, and there was just a ton of ballistic evidence and gun evidence in this area.
We found multiple magazines and multiple live .40 caliber rounds of ammunition. The same caliber, kind, and color, actually, that was found where Shabria and Julian were found.
Hoping to find a literal smoking gun, detectives call in the dive team.
And they hit the jackpot.
The dive team came and found an actual firearm inside the creek, right in the same path of where we found these other particular items.
It was a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson.
Back at the station, detectives run the gun's serial number through their system.
They find out that it has been stolen from Dayton, Ohio, out of the owner's vehicle.
Unfortunately, that doesn't help link the gun to Bruce Miles.
However, the evidence is compelling enough for detectives to get a warrant to search the home Bruce shares with his mother. The white sedan is there, but Bruce is not.
When they executed the warrant, Bruce was nowhere to be found.
Inside the home, they don't uncover any evidence that directly links Bruce to the crime.
His mother stated that there was no way Bruce could have committed the murders, as he was home from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m., which is the time frame when the murders occurred.
His mom told us that he was sleeping on the couch downstairs.
But near the front door, something catches their eye.
When we're talking to the mother, we find large suitcases in her front hallway.
There were multiple suitcases as if someone was packing for a trip.
To detectives, the discovery immediately sets off alarm bells.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
Syracuse detectives have zeroed in on 39-year-old Bruce Miles as the prime suspect in the murders of his ex-girlfriend, Shabria Gainey, and her new boyfriend, Julian Mansaw. And after unearthing some damning evidence, police now believe Bruce is trying to evade them.
There were multiple suitcases as if someone was packing for a trip.
That gave us a really strong indication that he was on the run.
Ma'am, can we speak to you for a moment?
And even though Bruce's mother claims he was home with her all night between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m., investigators aren't buying it.
He was here last night.
We have footage that proves otherwise.
We were able to definitively say with camera footage that that's not what happened.
They have his car in surveillance, leaving Shabria's apartment complex around 3 a.m.
The detectives tell Bruce's mother about how they tracked his movements all the way to Onondaga Creek, where they found the gun that killed Shabria and Julian.
The creek is just a couple blocks from Bruce Miles' home. This is a mountain of evidence against Mr. Miles.
Where is he?
I don't know.
You sure about that?
That's when Bruce's mother starts to cave.
Okay.
She admits she gave him a ride to the bus station earlier that morning around 3:30 p.m.
However, she was unsure where he was going.
Why are these suitcases still here?
They wouldn't let him take them all.
Bruce tried to bring those suitcases with him to the transport center, but he was unable to because they only let him bring a certain number of luggage items.
Armed with this new information, detectives head to the bus station, hoping to figure out where Bruce went.
We were able to find that he had purchased a ticket at 3:30 in the morning for a bus from Syracuse to Columbus, Ohio, which is supposed to arrive at 2:10 p.m. This is right around noon that we learned this information.
With only a couple of hours before Bruce is due to arrive in Columbus, detectives quickly reach out to their counterparts in Ohio.
We're able to contact their warrant squad in Columbus. They were gracious enough to help us take him into custody.
Officers in Ohio arrive in the nick of time, just as the bus is pulling in.
They reacted in record time, and the fact that they were able to get to the Regional Transportation Center while the perpetrator was still on the bus was incredible.
Bruce Miles. Yeah. You under arrest.
As soon as Bruce exits the bus, they're able to apprehend him and take him into custody.
He did not resist arrest. He was taken into custody without incident.
I felt like it was stupid to run. It was a lot of drama.
We were so happy that they caught him finally. That's what everybody was hoping for. Because we thought he got away.
The detectives back in Syracuse are eager to speak with Bruce.
Once we learned he was in custody, we drove directly to Columbus, Ohio to attempt to interview him, and he declined our efforts to have a conversation with him.
He was subsequently extradited back to New York.
Bruce is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
First-degree murder is a rare charge in New York State, reserved for only the most heinous and serious crimes.
Murder in the first degree, you need aggravating factors. And in this particular case, the aggravating factor was that 2 people lost their lives at the same time.
But without a confession, prosecutors will have to work overtime to craft their theory of what really happened on the night of September 15th.
When he actually got into the apartment, then just rage came out.
With the help of police in Columbus, Ohio, Syracuse detectives now have Bruce Miles, their top suspect in the murders of Shabria Gainey and Julian Mansaw, in custody.
I was happy that they got him, but I was still sad because he took my best friend away.
We formally charged him with murder in the first degree because he had killed 2 people.
Bruce is held without bail until the start of the murder trial in March of 2023.
At trial, prosecutors open their case by contending that Bruce's motive couldn't be clearer. It was jealousy.
We really kind of focused on a theme and theory of jealousy. Mr. Miles was jealous that Shabria was with Julian. And because it's a circumstantial case, I really wanted the jury to see that there's nobody else who could have committed this crime. He had the motive to do it. He had the means to do it. He was in the area.
When Shabria broke up with Bruce in August 2021, he was determined to do everything to win her back.
The prosecution argues that was exactly Bruce's plan in the early morning hours of September 15th.
We found that he had made 9 phone calls to Shabria from 1 a.m. to 1:38 a.m.
The majority of them are hang-ups because they're so short. And there were a couple that were a little bit longer, so we believe that there was some sort of conversation where she's already told him, I don't want you to come over, I don't want you to call me anymore.
Hello, Sabria.
Bruce, stop calling me. Leave me alone.
According to the prosecution, after those calls, Bruce headed over to Shabria's apartment.
Mr. Miles probably had an indication that Shabria was with another man. It was my theory that he's already made up his mind as to what he's going to do.
We had a pretty good indication that the motive was, if I can't have her, no one can.
The investigators believe Bruce was able to sneak into the apartment through a window that was unlocked.
However, prosecutors say that it's less clear whether Bruce's initial intention was to kill Shabria and Julian or just to confront them.
Who is this?
I think that wasn't necessarily a crime of passion, but I believe that when he actually got into the apartment, then just rage came out.
The prosecution argues that Bruce lost it because what he wanted did not happen. He was super angry to find Sabria with another man.
Man, just calm down.
Calm down. Calm down.
He fired off more than a dozen rounds at a defenseless Julian and Shabria, hitting them each multiple times and killing them both.
His emotional regulation was non-existent, and he was really just seeing red and seeing rage, and nothing was going to stand in his way of ending their lives.
After the shooting, he fled the scene, tossing the gun in Onondaga Creek, before heading home and plotting his escape to Ohio.
In an act of bravery, Shabria's own son, now 8 years old, takes the stand to testify about the horrors he witnessed that night.
They put him on the stand, and I think he did a great job.
He got up there like a big boy and said what he needed to say. He told what happened to his mom the best he could at. I was very proud of him that he was strong enough to get up there. And he definitely got that from his mother.
On the stand, he discusses being woken up in the middle of the night to the sound of gunshots and finding his mother and another man bleeding out on the floor.
His testimony was absolutely impactful. He was extremely brave in doing it, and it was very impactful because that bravery came out.
Everybody in the courtroom was crying. That was very, sad to put a little kid like that on the stand. But he knew the most. The fact that he had to see it, the fact that he had to go find somebody to help him call the police, he is so strong and brave.
But when it's the defense's turn, they argue that none of the evidence is enough to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bruce is guilty of murder.
His defense's strategy really was that Mr. Miles was at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Bruce's defense also states that there's a reasonable explanation for him to have been in the apartment complex, as he has a friend that lives in the area as well, and they had plans to spend time together that night.
They said that he just sat and waited for, an hour or so, which would account for the time that he was actually there.
Will the effort to create a reasonable doubt work? After 2 days of deliberation, the jury returns with its verdict.
The jury comes back with a guilty verdict for first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and criminal possession of a weapon.
The jury was able to make the correct determination that it was Bruce Miles.
When they said guilty, it really was just a big relief because I could hear Shabria's family and Julian's family in the back start to cry, and they were obviously very emotional.
I was happy that it came back guilty.
That was a very good day, but I was very nervous. We sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited, and I just wanted to celebrate because if this is the type of justice that we have to get, then so be it.
I knew he was going down. I was happy about that. It's the best day of my life, I felt like.
At Bruce's sentencing hearing, Shabria's family has some choice words for him.
They discuss how difficult it has been for Shabria and Julian's children to cope with the loss of their parents, especially Shabria's son, who now suffers from PTSD and night terrors.
The fact that he had to see it, the fact that he had to go find somebody to help him, the fact that he's involved, period. Like, no, I'm not okay with it.
But even faced with all the grief he's caused, Bruce refuses to admit his guilt.
He told the court, I'm not going to apologize. I'll say I'm sorry because I have nothing to be sorry about. He was very nonchalant in the courtroom. He thought he was going to get away with it.
He has no remorse. He does not care. And he's really trying to save himself.
But the judge is having none of it.
The judge was like, you don't have any remorse? And told him he's very disappointed in him when we know that you've done this and you still have no remorse.
He was sentenced to a potential of 41 1/3 to life to 44 years to life.
Most likely, Bruce will never see life outside of prison again.
However, for those left behind, it still doesn't feel like enough.
I was glad that he was getting such a high number, and obviously he has life on the back end of it. But in my opinion, I thought he deserved life without parole.
I think he should do life. He took away a life. He took a life that didn't belong to him.
I was happy, but at the same time, like I said, it doesn't bring her back. It doesn't bring Julian back either.
Mr. Miles is where he belongs. He took away somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother. He took away a son, a brother, a father. And again, for just really no good reason.
Whenever somebody loses their life, there's always more than one victim, especially in this case. Anybody who loved Julian or anybody who loved Shabria, they're also victims, and especially Shabria's son.
He's strong. He's in counseling. He didn't really talk too much before, and now he opens up and talks.
He's doing very good. Better than I thought he would. He's doing great.
I have this huge picture in my room of Shabria, the beautifulest picture ever. And when I'm feeling down or whatever, I may talk to that picture, let her know how much I miss her. And I wish she was here. I would give her a big old hug and a kiss and tell her I love her so much.
There's so much she's missing that she should be here for. We all miss her now here. Yeah, she's missed a lot. It has devastated us all in some form and fashion.
And the family has sage advice for other women who find themselves in a similar predicament.
Any red flags of abuse or a bad relationship, just run. We have other women in our family. I try to tell them, learn from what happened to Shabria. Just get out.